In order to succeed on your personal development journey, you must master the art of mental toughness. There are many different ways to build mental toughness, and in this video, I'm going to share 4 ways that authenticity helps you do so. Welcome to the BU channel, where we do a deep dive into personal development and look at it through the lens of authenticity. I am Safia, author of the book BU, Your Life Depends on It, the original volume, and the Transformation Journal. Now, before we dig into how authenticity helps you build mental toughness, let's start off by talking about what is mental toughness. Mental toughness is pretty much your ability to maintain a positive and strong mindset in the face of adversity. It's when you approach your goals with the same amount of passion and enthusiasm on your 100th attempt as you did on your very first attempt. Now, there are 3 intrinsically linked elements that contribute to a person's ability to be mentally tough. And the first element is big picture thinking. This is when you can see your current struggle within the greater context of your ultimate goals. Often when we face adversity, we become completely consumed and hyper-focused on our temporary struggles. But when we have bigger picture thinking, that increases our ability to maintain a positive outlook and handle those tough situations a lot better. Now, the second element related to mental toughness is mental flexibility. This is your ability to pivot. How quickly can you adapt your mindset, your behaviors, and your plans in order to accommodate a potentially different outcome than the one you originally envisioned? It's when you're able to let go of your imagination and deal with reality as changes arise. The quicker that you're able to accept your situation and focus on what you can control, the more mentally tough you are. Now, the third element that is linked to mental toughness is emotional mastery. Naturally, when we face adversity, it evokes unpleasant emotions within us. But when you've become a master of your emotions, you're able to still regulate your responses and control your actions while acknowledging your emotions. This is the foundation of your resilience. It's when your mind is able to work with your emotions without being completely controlled by your emotions. I did an entire video on emotional mastery and emotional intelligence a couple of weeks ago, so definitely check that out when you get a chance. If you've ever been good at anything in your life, and I'm assuming you have, then you've already been able to demonstrate mental toughness. Because success at any level requires a degree of mental toughness. Let's take academia, for example. If your goal, your overarching goal, is to pass your exams with a specific grade, then that goal is going to guide your micro habits on a daily basis. That's going to help you come up with your revision schedule, maybe your sleep schedule, things like that. And that's your big picture thinking. Now, where you might have to demonstrate mental flexibility is perhaps if you find those techniques aren't working. Maybe you got a bad grade on your mock exam and you have to go back and reassess those revision techniques. Are they really working? Try a few different things. And where you might have to demonstrate emotional mastery is you might be getting frustrated with the process. You might be getting frustrated and stuck with the materials, but despite all that, you still need to go again and work towards that end goal. So any success you've had, no matter how seemingly small, you've had to demonstrate mental toughness. Now, I think every single one of us has been able to demonstrate mental toughness on some degree, at least in one area of our lives. But there are some people who are able to consistently demonstrate this across all areas of their lives. Now, they're very few in number, but these people engage actively in what I call the mental toughness loop. It's a 4-step process that helps you cultivate those 3 key elements that we've just spoken about. But as we go through these, as I explain the mental toughness loop, I want you to keep thinking about a personal example for you, ways in the past that you may have been able to demonstrate mental toughness, and just keep that at the forefront of your mind as we go through these different examples and as I explain this mental toughness loop and the process. The first step in the mental toughness loop is experience, which we all have. This is our training ground, where our mindset is constantly tested through circumstances, different patterns and challenges, and seasons in life. Our experiences mean absolutely nothing in isolation, because without the proper analysis, we'd be stuck in constant stagnation, confusion, and reckless emotionalism. Which is why in the second part of the mental toughness loop, we have introspection. This is when we acknowledge our experiences and see that there's a correlation between them all. Our willingness to analyze ourselves in context gives our experiences a purpose. By asking yourself the right questions. How did I feel? How did I react? What did I need? You're putting yourself in a position to become a student of life, where the past becomes your teacher. And this allows even deeper analysis of your own perception of life as a whole, based on your collective experiences. Now we apply this analysis and understanding of self in the third part of the mental toughness loop, which is interpretation. This is where you try to understand your belief system. Your beliefs dictate your mental attitude, and they form a large part of your mental framework. They dictate how you experience life and how you interpret and cope with different situations. You have to ask yourself, what does my interpretation of my experiences tell me about my own beliefs towards myself, others, the world, and life in general? If you have a negative belief, let's say you think you just have the worst luck, then it's likely that you already have a defeatist mentality, and you might interpret situations negatively and therefore struggle to cope with them. A positive belief, maybe you think everything happens for a greater reason. That might mean you have an optimistic outlook on life. It might make you interpret situations in a more positive way, or at least extract the good out of any situation, and therefore you cope a lot better with those challenges. There are two key questions you have to ask yourself in order to analyze your own belief. The first question is, does your belief align with your collective experiences? This question will require some deeper self-reflection, because a lot of the time our minds highlight and cherry-pick moments that align with a current belief. But you might have to reflect on some less memorable but equally valid experiences in order to get a very objective and honest answer to this question. Now, the second question you need to ask yourself in order to analyze your belief is this belief destructive? Does it break you down, make you feel bad about yourself, suck the motivation out of you? Or is it constructive? Does it build you up, motivate you to do more and do better? If you find that your belief is constructive, then that's amazing. You can keep that belief as a strong part of your mental framework and move forward. If you find, however, that either your belief does not align with your collective experiences, or that your belief is destructive, then it's time for you to reassess and reframe your belief. You might have to adopt a new belief that is both optimistic and realistic. If you previously thought that, well, you have the worst luck and the world is completely unfair, then maybe the next time you come across a challenge, you can instead flip the script and think, this is my opportunity to problem solve and learn even more about myself and the skills that I possess. Such subtle adjustments are incredibly key in the mental reframing process, which is the fourth step of the mental toughness loop. The aim is to help you manage your expectations and help you get more out of life, which is pretty much the overarching aim. How you experience life is largely dependent on your beliefs. So if you want to improve the experience you're having in life, then one of the first things you need to do is to release those negative beliefs and change them to more positive beliefs, which it is a lot easier said than done, because As humans, we tend to attach our strong beliefs to our identity. So when it's time to get rid of those beliefs, or we're proven wrong through our experiences, we might still refuse to change because we feel that with the dissolution of those negative beliefs becomes the loss of our identity. But as an authentic person, you have to be a truth seeker, which means you should be able to you should be willing to readily abandon any and all false narratives and false beliefs. A mentally tough person is always in that mentally flexible state where they're ready to change and reframe their beliefs, adopt new ones, and release old ones that no longer serve them. A mentally tough person has mastered the art of reprogramming their subconscious mind continuously. So what is the subconscious mind? The subconscious is the part of the mind that operates behind the scenes. It contains our mental framework, and it dictates quite a lot about us, like our emotions, our triggers, our attitudes, and our behaviors. Beliefs that we hold, especially those that were instilled in us from our childhood, play on repeat in the background of our minds, whether we realize it or not. When we're able to hijack this process, for lack of a better term, and use it to our advantage, it can be incredibly powerful. Even a single change can be responsible for rewiring our brain and altering our entire physiology. So how do you reprogram the subconscious mind? Reprogramming the subconscious mind is actually a lot easier than one might initially think. It just requires that you're consistent and that you're willing to let go of past programming. Now, there are a plethora of ways you can reprogram your subconscious mind, and I'm going to leave most of it up to you to discover for yourself. But I'm just going to share a couple. The first one is going to be affirmations. Now I know, don't roll your eyes. A lot of people suggest that you say affirmations. But can we just talk about how powerful it is in the mental reframing process? Sound and voice has the power to rewire neural connections in the brain, especially when used with strong intentions behind it. I mean, we can remember the meanest things that were said to us in our childhood. And for some of us, or most of us, that has shaped our lives and our path in a major way. For some of us, that might have led to struggling with low self-esteem and low confidence for so many years. For others, it might have motivated us to working super hard to prove people wrong. Now, if a negative statement from all the way in our childhood can have such a profound impact in our lives, then imagine the impact a positive affirmation can have. The aim is that positive affirmation becomes the new self-talk, so that your mind is rewired and reprogrammed in a positive way. Now I think is a good time for us to drop our affirmation in the comments. I have the power over my subconscious mind. A second way that you can reprogram your subconscious mind that I'm going to share with you is to surround yourself with positive influences. Be around people who uplift you. Watch videos that inspire you. Read books that excite you. Everything carries a vibration, and when you're around certain things, they're going to pass their vibration on to you. You have to remember, your subconscious mind is incredibly sensitive to its environment. So anything that is remotely resemblant of negative programming is going to trigger those very negative beliefs that you've been trying to get rid of. No matter how strong you think your mind is, if you're surrounding yourself with negative influences, like people who constantly tear you down, your subconscious mind is inevitably going to turn against you. So you have to be disciplined and filter out those negative influences and be very discerning about what you allow into your environment and into your body. Now that we have a foundational understanding of mental toughness and what contributes to creating mentally tough people, let's get into the 4 ways authenticity builds your mental toughness. The first way authenticity builds your mental toughness is through reflective practices. Authenticity is all about learning the truth of who you are through heightened self-awareness and deep self-reflection. Naturally asking yourselves those introspective questions that we've spoken about earlier builds your self-knowledge and brings you closer to yourself. You have that mindset where you're ready to always learn from your experiences. Most people aren't willing to take that honest look at themselves, but you understand that your innate power is held deep within, and even if it's a little scary to go beneath the surface and dig deep, you still do so every single time, and that is what builds your mental toughness. The second way authenticity builds your mental toughness is by connecting you to your purpose. By pursuing authenticity, you will understand so much more about your gifts and your greater purpose. Knowing the greater role that you're supposed to play in this world and the positive impact that you're supposed to have in people's lives gives you the ability to think and see the bigger picture. Being able to focus on the long term in this way gives you a positive outlook and enables you to manage your emotions in the face of adversity. This really builds your mental toughness because your mind is not degraded by those challenges. Rather, your mind gets stronger as you work to overcome those challenges and work towards that greater future that you envision for yourself and for the world. The third way authenticity builds your mental toughness is through tough decision making. The more authentic you become, the more in tune you get with your higher self and your intuition. So if you need to pivot or change how you approach your goals, your intuition guides you towards making those difficult choices. In addition, you're so tapped in to your abilities and your natural gifts that it gives you confidence to deal with anything. So you can remain calm in the face of adversity, which is a trademark of mentally tough people. The fourth way authenticity builds your mental toughness is by building a strong foundation of good habits. Authenticity requires a great level of discipline. While everyone else is following societal norms, you have to resist that urge and pursue the path that was truly meant for you. That also means striving towards being healthy, because the most authentic you is the healthiest you. And being healthy requires consistency and building good habits. That builds your mental toughness because you're focusing on emotional mastery and you're prioritizing your long-term goals over your temporary discomfort, which are the key elements of mental toughness that we've previously discussed. Okay, before we wrap up, I quickly want to bring your attention to two relevant chapters in both of my books. Okay. Now, the healing chapter on page 55 of the original volume is super important when it comes to mental toughness. Because if you think about it, mental reframing is actually a form of healing the mind, because you're changing those negative programs that create wounds in your mind and replacing it with more positive programs. So that's really important. So in here, you'll find the 6 stages of healing summarized. You'll learn, what does healing look like? Why is it important to heal? My top healing tips, what to expect at each stage of the healing process, and also how you can help others on their healing journey as well. On page 62 of the Transformation Journal is the corresponding chapter, Healing, and it helps you kickstart your own healing journey by identifying which areas in your life are urgently in need of healing. So the healing chapter in both the original volume and the Transformation Journal are super relevant. The second chapter I want to bring your attention to in both of my books is mindset. The mindset chapter, it's on page 175 of the original volume. It guides you to evaluate your own beliefs and mental framework through the perspective of abundance versus lack. And it helps you identify whether beliefs are constructive or destructive, and actually it challenges you to identify the source of your own beliefs. In the Transformation Journal, the mindset chapter is on page 172, and the activities are geared towards supporting your process of metacognition, and it helps you identify some of your more specific beliefs. It gives you examples of affirmations, but also prompts you to write affirmations of your own. And the habit trackers in the back of the book help you to implement them as part of your daily routine. So it supports you with that as well. I'm going to leave the link to these books in the comment section. If you haven't gotten them already, I would suggest you pause the video right now and click the link to get yours. Remember, you can get it as a physical book, or you can get them as a digital bundle along with a couple of posters as well. So definitely check that out. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I trust you found it packed full of information and you have a lot of notes written down. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone you think needs to hear this as well. Keep shining, and always remember, be you. Your life depends on it. See you in the next video. Bye for now.